Hey guys! I want to talk about Christmas today. We are going to be discussing, is Christmas losing to the markets? Christmas was supposed to be a celebration of Christ's birth, but it has lost much of its meaning over the millennia. Because of this, retailers have swooped in to profit from it. The holiday generates hundreds of millions of dollars a year in America alone, and the holiday shopping season now stretches well into November. Christmas has become less about charity and holiness and more about getting gifts. Thus, an important question is raised. Is Christmas losing to the markets? If so, what does that tell us about the current state of spirituality in the world? The answer to the first question is yes. Like many things relating to capitalism, the commercialization of Christmas started with the Americans. In the 1820s, the poem A Visit from St. Nicholas established modern Santa lore. People wrote poems and books about Santa, and in the 1930s, Coca-Cola adopted him as its mascot. Now, Christmas wasn't about celebrating Christ or even about holiday cheer. It was about buying gifts and using a white-bearded old man to make money. The money-making part is why Christ had to be ditched in favor of Santa Claus in the first place. If you use Jesus for marketing, then you'll only be able to sell things to Christians, some of whom might get mad about the commercialization of Jesus. However, if you create someone new, he can appeal to everyone, and people won't get as angry. All this shows us the impact of greed. Many companies are using the supposed date of Jesus' birth to make money, and yet most of them aren't even based on Christian values. All they care about is money-making opportunities, and they won't stop no matter how much wealth they acquire. As it was said in Ecclesiastes, "He that loveth silver shall not be satisfied with silver, nor he that loveth abundance with increase. This is also vanity." Ecclesiastes chapter 5 verse 10. Companies always have to make more and more money to appease their shareholders. Also, the modern celebration of Christmas has almost nothing to do with Christianity. Many Christians still go to church on December 25th, but they also eat turkey, set up Christmas trees, and exchange presents. As soon as the service ends, Jesus is forgotten. This attitude is one of the many factors that have precipitated the decline of Christianity and religion in general. Pastors are preaching sermons just to collect tithes. Churches are starting to be sold. People are encouraging others to criticize the faith. Naturally, these events also have biblical precedents. Jeroboam did this very thing on purpose in 1 Kings chapter 12 verses 26 to 33. For centuries, Israelites gathered in Jerusalem to celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles, which commemorated the Exodus, according to Leviticus chapter 23 verses 42 to 43. However, after the Kingdom of Israel declared its independence from the United Monarchy, Jeroboam, ruler of the 10 tribes, thought that if Israelites continued to go to the capital of Judah, they would eventually wish to reunite with their neighbors. Thus, Jeroboam created a new festival where Israelites would offer animals to idols he built, helped by non-Levite priests. Thanks to his decision, Israel would permanently lapse into sin, according to 2 Kings chapter 15 verse 28. All these examples reflect poorly on Christianity. Christendom hasn't understood the history of Judaism and Christmas. We haven't learned from history, and thus we've been doomed to repeat it. We set up our belief on weakening traditions instead of the truth of the gospel. As it was said in John, "Labor not for the meat which perisheth, but for that meat which endureth unto everlasting life, which the Son of Man shall give unto you. For him hath God the Father sealed." John chapter 6 verse 27. Just like Judaism at the time of the Pharisees, which was a hollow shell of its former self, Christianity has lost much of its former glory. Many are being deceived by false pastors, when even atheists can understand how greedy they are. As it was said in Matthew, "And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold." Matthew chapter 24 verses 11 to 12. That love of many is the love of God, which is declining because people don't even understand him anymore. Christianity used to be gold, but now it is merely bronze. As it was said in Lamentations, "How is the gold become dim? How is the most fine gold changed? The stones of the sanctuary are poured out in the top of every street." Lamentations chapter 4 verse 1. Verse 2 goes on to say that the truth has become no more valuable than clay pots. Centuries earlier, this wasn't the case. False pastors were rejected, and parents passed the truth to their children, as advised in Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 6 to 7. Plus, businessmen couldn't reap profit from the faith. If they did so, they would be sent packing, like the temple merchants in Matthew chapter 21, verses 12 to 13. However, church leaders could do this because they had a strong enough will to reject material gain from their work, as Elisha did in 2 Kings chapter 5, verse 16. If you aren't incredibly strong-willed, it is incredibly hard to resist the temptation of money. The worst part is, it's not just deceived Christians who are feeding this decline. Some in the church are aware that what is happening is wrong and yet are working to further the church's decline, according to Ezekiel chapter 7, verses 19 to 22. As a result, God is allowing them to slide further and further into ignorance to protect his children from their influence. As it was said in Amos, "Behold, the days come, said the Lord God, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Lord. And they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east. They shall run to and fro to seek the word of the Lord, and shall not find it." Amos chapter 8, verses 11 to 12. The Bible describes their actions in Revelation chapter 18, comparing them to Babylon. God's true children were able to escape her apostate ways, but those without enough faith crumbled with her, despite all her previous wealth. Therefore, my advice is that we need to see Christmas as a warning that if we focus too much on traditions and the physical aspects of our faith will be just that, physical. God won't accept it because he doesn't abide by physical laws and rules. As it was said in John, God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. John chapter 4, verse 24. And that is where I'm going to stop with this Bible Q&A. Is Christmas losing to the markets? Yes. Companies have taken over the holiday, just like traditions have taken over Christianity. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe.